The Jaguar XE is dead. The Audi A6 is too old, and the Volvo S90
boring.
Which leaves us with two of the best cars in the segment which have got their new generations this year. This is the new BMW 5 Series, the 8th generation model, and this is the new Mercedes E-Class, the 6th generation model. And in today's video, I'm going to be comparing both these cars to tell you which German automaker has impressed the most with their executive sedans. Alright, let's start by looking at the design of these cars. Firstly, the keys. Obviously, the Mercedes key feels kind of better because it is a little heavier. The BMW key, well, not that great. But the problem is that the BMW key was a lot better with the G35 series. I don't know what has happened to them. Oh my god, oh my god, I caught it. I'm so happy. Anyways, this is the M Sport and this is the base variant of the E-Class. This is the E220D. This is the 520i. So, petrol, diesel, base variant, top variant. There's a difference there. Let's open the engine bay and let me tell you that there's not much of a difference in terms of powertrain because obviously both these car makers make some amazing engines. That diesel engine is quite noisy, but we are going to get 6-cylinder diesel engines as well, which will make these cars super pricey as well. BMW's petrol engines are really very smooth. Unfortunately though, we do not get the 6-cylinder petrol engine in India because the 530i is a 4-cylinder. There's no insulation here, so I don't know why cost cutting has been done. Now let's quickly look at the design of both these cars. Now both these car makers are amazing in terms of design. However, I don't know what has happened with these particular cars because I feel that the E-Class is less polarizing. The design of the 5 Series is a bit weird. Both of them have active flaps for the grille. So the grille will shut on the inside for better aero efficiency. It is already shut here at the moment. In terms of lights, obviously a lot more options. The lights on the BMW are better because this is not the digital light on the Mercedes right now. And I think it is the BMW which is bigger in terms of size. I don't know how that happened. Usually it's the Mercedes which is bigger in size, but here it is the BMW which is longer, and these are short wheelbase versions of the cars. So this is the G60, that is the W214, and in terms of the 5 Series, obviously we are going to be getting the G68, the long wheelbase version. And in terms of long wheelbase as well, it is the 5 Series which is longer, has more space at the rear. In fact, both of them get 19-inch wheels right here. The BMW is completely loaded, yet does not get a sunroof. The Mercedes does get a sunroof, and that is actually the base variant of the car. Now from the side, the BMW looks decent, but honestly, I just don't like the design of the BMW. I don't know why. I think they could have done a lot better in terms of the design, especially at the front and the rear. And obviously, the G30 is so good looking. So yes, that's something they should have kept in mind. Comfort levels seem better here somehow. Space is also slightly better here. And I feel that will also get carried to the long wheelbase versions of these cars. Under thigh support is good, and there's a provision for a tablet here. You get 4-zone climate control air conditioning, you get seat heating at the rear, and the dashboard design is actually very impressive, one of the best interiors. But where is the sunroof? Where has it vanished? And you get an armrest here with twin cup holders as well. Same is the case in the Mercedes as well. So yeah, center passenger does get a head. Even in the Mercedes, that's kind of mandatory right now. Getting in and out is difficult in both these cars because both of them are obviously sedans. In terms of boot space, well, it is the Mercedes which is slightly bigger, I feel. This is 520 liters. There's nothing below here. At least there's some storage space in the Mercedes. However, this car has a trick up its sleeve. I press this button and it can scare the Mercedes with this. So that can be an accessory of no use in India. Power tailgate is there in the BMW, which is obviously not there in the Mercedes. It doesn't really need it. So we are going to be opening the boot of the Mercedes E-Class. It doesn't have power tailgate, but it opens with so much enthusiasm, and there's some storage space below here as well, which is good. And I can recline the seat from here by pressing a button. I was thinking it will auto shut. No, it does not shut automatically. Here too, I can recline the seat, but I have to pull this lever and it does not go down. So I have to pull it like, oh my god, power tailgate, why am I doing that? Anyways, so I have to pull it like this. So that's something which could be better in the BMW, of course. That 5 is going to glow on the Indian model, which is quite nice. Now, where is the advantage of BMW is that the electric version of both these cars, this is the EQE sedan, the electric version. This is the i5. The i5 is way better in terms of almost everything. So that's fantastic. Everyone is hiding the exhaust. So the exhaust is right here below now. Meanwhile, Mercedes also shows you some fake exhaust. The actual exhaust is right there. Dual exhaust here, single exhaust there. Tell me which one do you like better in terms of rear design. Again, I think the Mercedes is just better. I love the design of the rear tail lights. The attention detail is absolutely crazy. That's quite nice and funky as well. Door handles pop in and out, so everyone wants to do aero efficiency, of course, and that seat has gone down at the moment. Both the cars feel solid. Soft close door function not available here, but you will get that in India, thankfully. Let's get inside here. So space is a USP of Mercedes cars, but here, this being the base variant, actually gets fabric seats which have been soiled right now. So space is not the best here. Underthigh support is not the best here. Headroom seems adequate. So in terms of space, it's the 5 Series which is better right now. However, you get these dual roofs here, which is a good thing. How come the BMW misses out on that? I have no idea. That's actually optional. Meanwhile, I said Mercedes, so voice commands have started. Dashboard is very similar to the EQE. Meanwhile, the dashboard is similar to the 7 Series. So yeah, they are just copying stuff from their flagship models. Let's get out. Okay. Flush door handles, you know why? Aero efficiency is the name of the game. Seats are really nice and comfortable, and this car has a lot of funky bits which really impresses you. For starters, this is electric adjust, that's fine. This is a 12.3 inch screen. Again, Mercedes also has a similar size screen, but this is bigger, 14.9 inch, and there's so much to play around with. There are too many functions here. 360-degree parking cameras, obviously the visibility and all is just phenomenal right here. And the camera system of BMW cars is a lot better because you have these views. Plus, I can get into 360-degree 3D view and all, which is so freaking cool. It's just amazing. So BMW obviously does better cameras when compared to Mercedes-Benz. No two ways about it. This screen also has so many funky things now. It will absolutely blow your mind because I think it has something called air console games. So you can play games here and your smartphone actually becomes a controller for that. Isn't that too much? But then because of the i5, they had to put this feature here. So yeah, that's quite cool. Amazing. Steering feels better to hold here. There's a nice heads-up display too. Obviously a lot more features because this is the top end variant, but then Mercedes also offers a lot more features when we talk about top variants, obviously. I love the way the ambient lighting has been done. So when I turn it on, this actually glows red. Yeah, that is super cool. So better ambient lighting, better quality of the dashboard, better features, gesture control, everything seems better when it comes to the features at the front in a BMW car. However, Mercedes nails it when it comes to the rear seat experience, obviously. And this crystal effect is just amazing, and thankfully it is easier to navigate this infotainment system because you've got physical controls. Here you have got the iDrive controller too, which is fantastic. Yes, the earth is round, sorry flat earthers. The glove box size is bigger in the Mercedes. This is like Chintu Mintu, and yeah, the seatbelt does not get the height adjust function right here. So let's just get out. This is plastic, which is very, very cheap. I don't like it at all, and that's where Mercedes does a better job for sure. Now this seat is electric, so I can move it ahead and behind electrically. This sort of carbon fiber finish looks nice, and the AC vents are actually hidden right here, which is super unconventional. If I want to increase or decrease the fan speed, I do it like this. So again, BMW has done something very unique. However, if you have driven any other BMW car like the 7 Series or the i7 or even the iX, this is very much in familiar territory. Let's get out. Harman Kardon audio system, very good. But you have the option of Bose and Wilkins too. Lack of a sunroof actually makes me confused that what is happening here. I mean, it's unbelievable that a car is not getting a sunroof at this price point. Both these cars are extremely expensive now. Prices are just going through the roof. The Mercedes feels the usual because it is very similar to the EQE and the EQS. The problem is that this being the base variant has a manual control for the positioning of the seat movement, right, up and down. So I'll just show it to you right now. Yeah, I can't move it ahead with one hand, so I'm going to push it behind. Can you believe that is manual? But it gets seat heating, which is cool. The BMW gets seat heating at the rear, obviously. And the dashboard seems very premium here. You know why? Because it gets this massive 14.4 inch screen, bigger screen in the BMW. BMW does not have a screen here, but you get the option of a 12.3 inch passenger display as well, EQE inspired. Now, and I love the fact that driver controls are here, which makes it super easy to drive a Mercedes car. Like you just click here and you are into drive mode. However, the quality of this is very bad. It's very cheap and plasticky somehow. That's something I do not like. And obviously higher variants get a different steering wheel, which is fantastic to hold. I love the quality of the switchgear. BMW needs to do better here. And ambient light is like continuous from there. The BMW has 15 colors for ambient lighting. This car has got 64 colors for ambient lighting, for which I have to actually get into comfort mode. And there we get into the ambient lighting, 64 colors, super cool. I've got something known as multicolor as well. Fantastic. Let's get into reverse. Okay, there's just the reverse parking camera. There's no front camera. You can get a wide view as well. Both these cars get self-park as well, a feature which is very much expected at this price point. Meanwhile, because the BMW has games, this car is no less. You have YouTube, both in the BMW as well as the Mercedes. In fact, you can get into the apps, and there's Sudoku, there's Shuffle Puck, not what you thought I was saying, Amazon Music and connected car bits, Spotify and whatnot. The usual bits which you would not expect in a car these days is coming because cars are becoming gadgets. I definitely like the instrument cluster of the Mercedes car because firstly you get proper dials, unlike the BMW which looks a bit confused. And obviously I can change this as well because there are multiple views for the same. So get into the home function and there I can change it. But the camera and the camera display and the augmented reality in the BMW is just so much better. So you're just going to get into the sport mode right here. Isn't that super cool too? Yeah, the quality of the Mercedes car is just amazing. The BMW is not far behind either. Both cars are doing fantastic in terms of quality. Only thing is, the physical buttons are only here. There's nothing here. So they've removed the rotary dial and all that has gone completely. But they've got multiple storage spaces. Wireless charging pad, both cars have. Both cars have USB-C. None of them have USB-A anymore, which is a good thing because who really uses that anyway? So in terms of design, definitely I feel it's a mixed bag, but the design of the Mercedes is more universally accepted. Meanwhile, the interior of the BMW is better, the dashboard, space also, features also, but I think the rear seat experience might be better in the Mercedes when the long wheelbase version obviously comes. So they're very even in this regard. These cars are so similar now that at times I think that both Mercedes and BMW are hand in glove because they make such similar cars. Okay, you will get the illuminated grille on the BMW. You can also get the illuminated grille on the Mercedes. Well, at least in China, they're offering the same right now. The long wheelbase version is only offered in China. I don't know why the Chinese are obsessed with long wheelbase because they're so short anyways. So how is the driving experience? Is this more dynamic? Is this better in terms of ride quality? Let's start driving right away. Okay, straight away, let's start the drive with the BMW 5 Series because I like this car more than the E-Class in terms of driving dynamics. But I have to admit that the car has lost its charm in terms of the stability, in terms of the stiffness, in terms of the handling appeal. But then obviously Mercedes has also improved, so the gap has narrowed down between both the cars. Definitely it has. Now there is the SL right in front. It seems like the 63 to me, SL63 AMG, but anyways, that's not the point. The point is that the display in BMW cars is just amazing. Look at this display, look at this, and look at the heads-up display as well. Absolutely next freaking level. Now the good bit is that we have reached the de-restricted part of the German Autobahn, although there's a lot of traffic today. So I'm just going to take it a little easy. It tells me it's de-restricted right here on the heads-up display. The heads-up display is just fantastic. It's just amazing, the heads-up display. This Opel guy is confused. Everyone seems to be confused right now because this truck is moving around. But anyways, here we go. Okay, I'm going to put the gearbox into sport right away. Amazing performance. Yeah, this car is just amazing in terms of performance, and I think we have turned into a restriction right now. So speed limits have turned on right now because dynamic speed limits, of course, and that is largely because I think there's an exit here. But that's not the point. The point is whether you should buy the 5 Series or the E-Class, and that Fiat guy does not really care what is a restriction or what is not because he seems to be flying at the moment. So there's that E-Class, the older one. That car is also flying because we are on the de-restricted part of the German Autobahn, of course. But first I need to change the navigation. Okay, de-restriction starts. So when you drive both these cars, you realize that the BMW is just the better car to drive. It feels more dynamic. It definitely, I don't know what that Audi A2 is. It looks quite weird, and why is this Mercedes going back on that? Anyways, so onto the throttle, and you feel immediately the response is very crisp and smooth. I have to tell you this, that BMW's refinement is just better than what Mercedes offers, at least when it comes to 4-cylinder engines, because BMW cars feel so much more refined and smoother somehow. That's kind of weird. I expected both of them to be on par there, but no. And the BMW is still more dynamic. The steering has more feel, although it's not the most feelsome anymore because obviously they're going softer now. However, the BMW definitely feels better to drive. Body roll is better contained, and this engine, the base engine too, the petrol one, is smoother, more refined. Obviously we cannot compare a petrol to the diesel. The petrol will obviously be more smooth and refined when compared to a diesel, but even BMW's diesel engines are quite refined when compared to Mercedes's 4-cylinder diesel engines. The car is very responsive. I love this heads-up display there. I love the AR view right here for the camera. So BMW is definitely doing better technology, and somehow the quality levels are also better on the inside, and this screen has a lot of things, but it isn't as confusing as that on the Mercedes. In fact, the BMW feels much more glued to the road. It feels so much more stable as well, and I love the fact that the steering is so nice. It's just amazing. There's so much more grip levels in this car, and that's the reason this car just feels a lot more satisfying to drive at high speed. There we have reached a double turn. Doesn't hesitate at all. The brakes also seem better here. The brakes on the Mercedes are a bit weird. I mean, they're good, but not good enough. Especially if you opt for the hybrid, you're not going to be really impressed by it. Now, the mild hybrid system here seems to be offering some amount of benefit because it gives you that assist as well, and then because of which there is no auto stop start button in this car. There is in the Mercedes, because here if it feels that the engine doesn't need to be on, it will put you on battery power, so that is also quite nicely done. But it's just the feel of the BMW which feels superior, especially when you are in the driver's seat. Now obviously when you get to the back seat, BMW isn't bad either. So Mercedes' focus is heavily on the back seat, but there is always an Audi station wagon which is flying at 200 kilometers per hour when you're on the German Autobahn, but it is what it is. This is boost mode here. If I press this, it gives me a slight boost as well, which is kind of weird. Why don't you give me full power straight away? Why would you? Oh god. So I have to keep this pressed for boost. Now 10-second boost is activated. Not that it's going to help me reach any higher speed, because this car will top out at 230 kilometers per hour. It will not go any further. I leave the throttle, I leave the accelerator, the boost mode actually shuts off. So this is a weird way of stealing horsepower from the car and saying that, we'll give it to you for only 10 seconds when I deserve to get that full power all the time. You've paid full price, you definitely need it for all the time. But the main part is that BMW prices are slightly better when compared to Mercedes. Mercedes is pricing its cars at a slight premium. All the Mercedes cars are also loaded with a lot of tech, and so is BMW, but BMW is slightly undercutting Mercedes. Is kind of weird, because I feel that right now Mercedes is just asking a higher premium for their cars, which kind of doesn't make sense considering this car is very aggressively competing with the E-Class. And there we go again. Somehow the performance in a BMW is better than that in a Mercedes. I'm talking about non-M and non-AMG models, although both cars are equally fast considering similar engines and similar output as well. But I just feel that BMW is not really keen on reducing cylinders, while Mercedes is like, just keep removing cylinders, downsize. That's really not helping. Now, of course, both these cars are available with plug-in hybrid options globally. I hope they are also offered in India, because plug-in hybrid is extremely efficient, because that's the best of both worlds. But a self-charging hybrid is definitely better, because you don't have to take the headache of charging at all. I can definitely keep driving all day long on the German Autobahn, because this BMW is still quite fun, and this engine also sounds nice. Even though this is the base engine, just imagine what will happen when you drive the 540i with the S58 engine, which obviously has a lot more grunt. And that is the reason why a BMW is a BMW, because of the sheer performance and the driving pleasure which it offers in abundance. Let's fly. Tires look super small on that BMW X1. I thought so, it has to be a lady, not being sexist, but she did not move, only knowing very well there's a faster Beamer coming right behind her. .200 kilometers per hour is like a cakewalk on the German Autobahn. And then there's this forced tempo traveler right in front of me. So it's not just in India where the truck drivers think they can hog the fast lane. It happens in Germany too. Alright, jumping straight away from that car to this one, let me tell you that the E-Class feels very good to drive in spite of the fact that the suspension is super soft. The only thing is that the BMW is much more smoother, more refined for sure, but this engine feels quite good because in spite of being a 4-cylinder, it is punchy. It is punchy, and how it is refined only in the lower end of the rev range. You rev it hard, the engine becomes quite vocal as well. The steering isn't as responsive as that car, but the ride quality is a lot better here. Mercedes always does better ride quality somehow. Although the gap is narrowing between both the cars because the 5 Series also rides quite well, but the E-Class also drives quite well. Although there is a lot more body roll here and the steering isn't as responsive as the 5 Series, but now both these cars are just amazing to drive, a lot of fun, and have a lot of tech as well. The only thing is some of the tech is not really working here right now because this big fat screen is refusing to work now. It's telling me welcome and all. It's showing me the map. If I try to change the drive modes, there is where it hangs. So there are 4 drive modes here which are easier to work with. In the BMW you have those stupid my modes, and some of them are like really ridiculous because it has something called digital art. Like, digital art is ridiculously bad. It is horrendous to say the least in the BMW. But the E-Class actually doesn't look stunning, but somehow it doesn't have a polarizing design like of the 5 Series. Look at the rear of the 5 Series. What is wrong with you, BMW? Anyways, that actually brings me to the big USP of the BMW. That is the 31.1-inch cinema display at the rear, which is not going to be offered by Mercedes because Mercedes doesn't offer all this. However, BMW is actually offering it, and that cinema display is super duper cool because obviously rear seat experience will completely change for people who opt for the higher variant of the 5 Series when it comes to India. This thing is stuck at the moment. Just get out of this menu, will you? Braking performance is better in the BMW. The brakes could be better here because of the soft suspension. Obviously, there is some amount of nosedive here as well. And around the corners, you realize you're better off in the BMW, although both of these cars are actually having rear-wheel drive, and rear-wheel drive for the win always, because it feels so dynamic. However, now both these car makers are also offering, you guessed it right, all-wheel drive variants, because in snow conditions rear-wheel drive doesn't really work that well. You definitely need the all-wheel drive system right there. Come on, change this mode. Yeah, and even this panel now is shaking quite a lot. So yeah, overall quality could be better for sure, without a doubt. And here I have got paddle shifters with which I can obviously make shifts if I wish. Both the cars have that, and you can manually control the gearbox and all. The interesting part is that both of these cars get the 48 volt mild hybrid system, which is good because obviously it improves the efficiency of the vehicle, and that efficiency definitely plays a big role as well. The only thing, I'm so stuck right now, this thing just does not move. Yeah, it just does not move only. How do I change the drive mode? Is there an alternate way to change the drive mode? I'm afraid not, but at least I can change the cluster mode. I'm going to come to this classic one because the classic one looks quite good, and off we go. So Mercedes is on a downsizing mission right now, and they want to go all electric. Earlier they said 2030 they will go all electric, and then they changed the decision. They said no, we will not be able to go all electric by 2030 because the demand, the consumers are not really ready for it right now. Honestly, you can never go all electric because some of the markets in the world, they simply will never have the charging infrastructure to go all electric. So that is a bit of a bummer. Almost reached 200 kilometers per hour here. Yeah, the German cars are made for high-speed stability because you have roads like these where it's legal to drive at any speed you like. The German Autobahn, obviously, although recommended speed is 130 kilometers per hour, but if you feel the need, you can go as fast as you wish, and that is the reason why these cars are engineered so madly well. And they also have super duper wide tires because obviously you need traction now, so wide tires will definitely help the cause. I am driving at this crazy speed here in this Mercedes while the BMW is pulling away because obviously that's a petrol and this is a diesel. Although both the cars are just amazing in terms of performance for 4-cylinder engine, but at this price I don't want a 4-cylinder engine. I'm so sorry, I need more cylinders, and that's kind of where you kind of feel like, why am I paying so much and just getting 4 cylinders? Yeah, that is the only issue there. Now it has this hyper screen. I don't understand why they don't have a one single piece screen. BMW does that better. So BMW is doing better in certain things, and I didn't know that BMW could do a better interior than Mercedes, but that is also happening now. Although you feel like you are actually sitting in a BMW 7 Series when driving the 5 Series, which is a good thing. Here you kind of feel you're sitting in the EQS or the EQE, but this one, the display is way better in the Mercedes. I have no two opinions about it because it's so crisp, the quality and all is just amazing. Missing a heads-up display here, but obviously you can get all that. Ambient lighting is also quite nicely done. The BMW does it better. I have like so much confusion going on right now because both these cars are so good. They're so good, but I have to say, Mercedes has caught up with BMW in terms of dynamic appeal. Meanwhile, BMW has caught up with Mercedes in terms of comfort and luxury. And now we are trying the top speed of both these cars, although we are not doing it in sync. But look at the Mercedes pull, 228 kilometers per hour. It's giving me forward collision warning, 232 kilometers per hour, 235 kilometers per hour, 237, 240 kilometers per hour. I did not expect that. That is the slipstream which is happening thanks to the BMW right in front, because I believe this Mercedes struggles beyond 225 kilometers per hour. But look at it. I'm quite surprised by the speed of this Mercedes. I thought it will not be faster than the BMW, but it is somehow very aerodynamic and very efficient. On a full tank of diesel, this car will actually go more than 1000 kilometers, which is absolutely insane. So how does the Mercedes manage such high speed? Simply because a diesel is a freaking diesel. It feels more stable than the BMW feels more stable than the Mercedes. There's no two ways about it, and it takes its own sweet time. The progress dulls dramatically as you hit 200 kilometers per hour. But if you get a good tow from the car ahead, this Mercedes can really surprise you with amazing performance. The only thing which it is surprising me now is with this Mercedes-Benz on the screen. That 14.4-inch screen can be used to a better effect by at least letting me change the drive modes. And can you imagine, I was doing 240 kilometers per hour in efficiency mode. Yeah, in eco drive mode, this car is able to do 240 kilometers per hour. In sport mode, it will not do 300 kilometers per hour. Don't worry. It is just that it takes slightly longer to reach the top speed here. Oh my god, I am sweating. Actually, the camera is getting heated and I'm not able to turn on the air conditioning because the screen has hung itself. So that is the problem, having all digital controls. You need physical controls in a car, especially for air conditioning. Now this actually brings me to a very important topic, that why on earth is Mercedes going behind trying to make just electric cars? And oh my god, are we on a de-restricted section of the German Autobahn? Yes, we are. We should not be. Yeah, we can actually cross the white line here, and off we go. So no restrictions right here, which means it's time to go pedal to the metal, which will also give me a chance to explain, okay, screen work. So like I was telling you, the primary reason why Mercedes-Benz wants to make only electric cars and go completely electric is because Mercedes is a public limited company, and I've been told that there's a lot of investor pressure to be eco-friendly and to make sure that the environment is preserved. If that was the case, Mercedes-Benz shouldn't be making cars in the first place, because obviously cars have a lot of carbon footprint, but then airplanes are even worse than that, and the people who are taking this decision are traveling in private jets. But that's not the concern. My concern is something else. Pre-save is kicking in right now because I was applying brakes a bit heavily. So my concern is that Mercedes' owners are Chinese. Not really, because 20% ownership, almost 20% is by Chinese people. So I think around almost 10% belongs to Geely, which also is the parent company of Volvo and I think Lotus and all those companies. And another 10% belongs to BAIC, which is Beijing Automobile Industrial Corporation. Now the Chinese realized one thing almost 20-30 years back, that they cannot in the next 5,000 years compete with car companies who are making internal combustion engine, because making an internal combustion engine car is no cakewalk. Meanwhile, just making an electric car is not difficult, because at the end of the day, the battery and the motor are just commodities, so you can easily just outsource that. And that's the reason almost 20 years back, China invested heavily in trying to make just electric cars, because they knew with electric cars they can do a much better job, and they can obviously end up making electric cars. And that is the primary reason why the Chinese automakers are pushing for electric, because then only it will be financially feasible for them. And 20%, almost 20% ownership belonging to the Chinese in Mercedes-Benz means that the push is coming from there. Meanwhile, the CEO of Mercedes-Benz, his wife, is a green influencer, so obviously it is in her best interest to promote green in her products. So she wanted, and I've just read it online, there's no surety of this news, but I read it somewhere that she pushed her husband, the CEO of Mercedes-Benz, to make an electric version of the G-Wagon. So at the end of the day, I'll tell you why BMW ends up being better than Mercedes. Quick opportunity to turn off the car. Yeah, turn it back on, get into drive, and let's change the drive mode. This drive mode will never change. The system needs to reset. So anyways, I was telling you the very reason why. Oh yes, the reason why BMW is better than Mercedes is because Mercedes thinks that they will do whatever they feel like and customers will adapt. Meanwhile, BMW believes that we will do what customers want and we will adapt. And BMW can do that because 50% of the BMW company is owned by the family itself. So they cannot be pressured by the investors to do what they want. Instead, BMW does what it likes and what it feels will work, and that's the reason BMW is not said they're planning to go electric. BMW is like, you want electric, we'll give you electric cars. You want petrol, diesel, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, hydrogen, everything, we will give it to you. And that's the reason we all love BMW, because BMW makes the cars which people want to buy, not make cars and stuff it on people. And that's the funny thing, because BMW has half-hearted attempt, or rather BMW has put a very half-hearted effort to make an electric car, or rather make electric cars. Meanwhile, Mercedes has made specific electric cars which come under the EQ series, yet it is BMW which is making better electric cars and also selling more electric cars. So yeah, that is the major difference between both these brands. But the way Mercedes is functioning right now, they are just simply kind of killing their iconic models for no reason at all, just because electric, we are going to save the world. That really doesn't work, and because we have been pelting both these cars at more than 200 kilometers per hour, it's time to refuel them right now. And since there's a BMW, there's an Audi here as well. Germany is such a lovely place for people who love cars and love driving as well. Alright, after a small reset, sport mode has activated in this car, which means that the solution to most problems in the world are just restarting. There you go. Okay, the thing I realized that in sport mode the gearbox is a bit more aggressive and then it holds on to a gear harder as well. That's the only difference. उसके अलावा मतलब ऐसा कुछ feel नहीं होता. It's quite evident that both of these cars are top of the class, the best in the series, but which one should you buy? The BMW 5 Series or the Mercedes E-Class? I have to admit that Mercedes got its strategy bang on by giving us the long wheelbase version of the E-Class, because they exactly knew what Indian customers wanted. BMW, on the other hand, is now just copying Mercedes-Benz by offering the long wheelbase version of the 5 Series, although they offered it in 6 Series, guys. That car did not have much appeal, so it didn't really work well, not just in India, but across the globe. And that's the reason why the 5 Series is coming back in longer wheelbase format, which makes my job really tough, because earlier, if people used to ask me 5 Series or E-Class, I would say, if you want comfort and luxury, get the E-Class. If you want dynamic driving, sportiness, get the 5 Series. But that is not true anymore, because both these cars are very similar. Both are oriented towards comfort, space, luxury and all that. But it's the BMW which has the better tech, but still Mercedes rules when it comes to luxury. If I had to choose one among both these cars, I would probably choose the BMW with the 530D. I'm not sure if that is coming or not. The E-Class is fantastic, but I'm not sure whether you would want to pay that premium for Mercedes, because globally too, this car is a lot more expensive when compared to the 5 Series. The only thing I can't do right now is digest the design of this car. So I would probably hunt and get myself the G30 530D M Sport. I know there's a little bit lack of space at the rear, but I can deal with that. But I can't deal with the design of this car. I'm sorry. Bye-bye. अरे बंद करो भाई, हो गया खत्म, finish, pack up.